All right, welcome back, Powers on Sports Podcast. We are less than 2 weeks away from Thursday night opener in Philadelphia, Cowboys, Eagles, followed by a Friday night special, Kansas City and the Chargers in Brazil once again. It is time for an NFC preview. We're going to give you a full-blown preview of all things NFC. We're going to talk all four divisions. We're going to talk storylines, all kind of good stuff. No better person to talk to than my guy here in the Tampa Bay area, host of the Sports Web internet show. He is a credentialed member with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and such. Mr. Peter Blake, welcome back, sir.
What's going on, buddy? Long time no here, and it's football season right around the corner, so you gotta love that.
Yeah, we are ready to go. It is time. The college, the full blown college schedule kicks off this weekend, and we're about 10 days away or so from Philly and Dallas. What are your thoughts? Do you like that the typically the Super Bowl champion hosts that first game on that Thursday night, or would you rather see it be mixed, kind of mixed up a little bit?
Well, I'd rather see Washington. At the end of the day, I think that's the matchup you were going to go for. NFC Championship game rematch between Washington and Philadelphia instead of the Dallas Cowboys. Why are the Dallas Cowboys getting billing once again? Are we going to keep on falling into this? Everybody's like, always like, oh, it's America's team. It's America. It hasn't been America's team since the mid 90s, even before that. I mean, come on. Let's go with Washington. Let's go with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Ratings, ratings, ratings. Whether you hate the Cowboys or you love them, they draw eyeballs. So I'm sure that was a major factor with NBC as far as that game. Have you checked out the Cowboys 8-part series on Netflix about the gambler in America's team?
I have not, because I heard it was, a salute to Jerry Jones, which, listen, he's done some great things with the Dallas Cowboys besides winning a Super Bowl ever since Jimmy Johnson left. I have not checked it out. I heard it's going to be good. I got to check it out. And, everybody likes a train wreck, I guess. So that's the reason why you have the ratings in the first place, right? Everybody likes a car accident. You can't, you can't stop staring at it. You can't look away. That's what it's like with every year, following the Dallas Cowboys.
I've gotten through 2 episodes. It's been pretty good. They start back when Jerry bought the team and how all that went down and hiring Jimmy Johnson and kind of the early years when they struggled, and a lot of good stuff from Jimmy Johnson in the first 2 episodes about how he went about handling the team and Troy Aikman and how Michael Irvin was such a big factor in the motivation and all that kind of stuff, and some of the things that they talk about are pretty interesting. I mean, if you're an NFL follower, you know most of the big picture things, but a lot of the detail things are pretty good. And I'll give him credit through two. And there's some for sure love with Jerry Jones and some fawning all over that. But again, through 2 episodes, I thought it's been pretty good. And I'm sure as we move through the series, I think it's 8 episodes. You'll see, I'm sure, the Super Bowl years coming up here, right when the end of episode 2 kind of starts with the Super Bowl of the first time and all that stuff. So I'm sure they will get through some of the lean years and some of the off the field stuff. But I thought the first 2 episodes were pretty good. So definitely
All
check
right.
that out on
All
Netflix.
right. I'm going to check it out, Jason Powers, my
All
tag
right,
team partner of the world. Yes.
yes, my tag team partner, our buddy Paul Stewart's coming into town in a couple weeks, and we're gonna get to see him again. From buckpower.com. So definitely check out if you're a Buccaneers fan.
Yes. Yep.
Buckpower.com is the site you need to go to for all things Buck history. We're gonna talk about the NFC South here in a little bit. 50 years of the Buccaneers this year. A lot of celebrations here with the franchise. Let's start in the NFC East where we're just starting there. Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl champions. They rout the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl last year. You had well, obviously Washington makes it to the NFC Championship game, loses to Philadelphia as Jaden Daniels leads that team. The Cowboys, new coach Mike McCarthy, no longer the coach. Brian Schottenheimer is now the head coach, and you got the Giants, where bad year they draft Jackson Dart. A lot of pressure on Dayball and Joe Shane this year. Do they have to win big? I don't think so, but they need to show definite progress. They need to show some progress with the quarterback, Jackson Dart. Let's start in the NFC East. Give me a thought about Jackson Dart in New York. You think that was a good pick? You think you like what they're doing there in New York?
No, I mean, I think it's tough to say, right? Because again, he's a rookie, so you don't know what to expect. I think the real question is Russell Wilson. You get him. How much does he have left in the tank? He showed a little bit of promise last year with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but they allowed him to go. And then, of course, you got Jameis Winston. So what a weird quarterback room. Jackson Dart's going to be able to learn under Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. But I like the pick so far. Everything that I've seen in the preseason, he looks okay. I mean, but we all know, rookie quarterbacks coming in and being successful right away is
Tough.
really tough. CJ Stroud comes to mind. He did pretty well. Then the second year kind of fell off.
Jane Daniels in that division had a great year.
Jaden Daniels had a good year. So I think they're kind of, hoping that he'll do that, but they're not throwing him in there right away. And I think that's the right thing to do. Let the kid learn, let the kid sit on the bench and learn from a veteran like a Wilson and possibly a Winston if he gets in there and gets the chance to start because Wilson goes down with an injury.
I think you're going to see Jackson Dart somewhere around week 6. They have a brutal first 5 or 6 weeks in the schedule for the Giants. Their
Yeah.
schedule is ridiculously hard. They very easily know. I mean, they might be much improved, and I think their defense is going to be pretty good. They might be improved on offense, but their record may not show it because
Mm.
their schedule is so rough. So I wouldn't be surprised. Week 6, week 7 is when you'll see, I think, Jackson Dart, because you got to know what you got to figure out at some point this year. Let him play 6, 7, 8 games, figure out what you got, whether the solution or potentially do you have to. Again, I think I think he's going to be a pretty decent player for them. He's had a pretty good preseason for them, but again, I think the Giants, if they can show progress, I think Dayball will make it another year now that they've drafted a quarterback that he drafted. Because remember, Daniel Jones wasn't his guy. That was Dave Gettleman's guy, the previous regime. So I think they're gonna. I think unless they just have a disaster and a dumpster fire, I think Dayball and Shane will at least get one more year after this.
I think you're correct about that. And I also think the reason why you signed Russell Wilson is because you want to win as many games as
Yep.
possible. So does the rookie quarterback give you the opportunity to do that if you're winning games, unless he goes down to injury, which, listen, Wilson has been known to go down to injury sometime.
Yep.
Do you start when? But you're exactly right. You got to figure out what you got. And see, I think this is the problem with a lot of rookie quarterbacks these days and why they're bust is because you don't allow them to sit. Say whatever you want to about the Green Bay Packers, but they got the perfect formula, right? So you got Brett Favre, you draft Aaron Rodgers, you let him sit for a couple years there. Then once you move on from Favre, you go with Aaron Rodgers, and then Aaron Rodgers goes by the wayside and you draft Jordan Love. But they had to sit there and learn. You don't throw them in there right
Yep.
away so they could be a bust. So I'm hoping, and whatever the Giants have around them, which they got some weapons, but hopefully they don't kill this kid physically and
Right.
mentally. You look at Caleb Williams last year. You look at his numbers. How many times was he sacked with the Bears? He's lucky that he's not ruined at this point. So that's not the way you treat a quarterback. But
Yep.
we'll see. We'll see what it comes out in the wash. I always feel like you draft a first round quarterback. Can he face an adverse situation? And if
Yep.
there is an adverse situation, if there is adversity with the New York Giants, can he overcome that? That to me is a true sign of a veteran quarterback, not a veteran quarterback, but a franchise quarterback, if you will, that you're willing to build around here in the next couple of years.
Let's go to Washington. Obviously, a tremendous run last year 1 of Dan Quinn. They hit a home run with Jaden Daniels. They've reinforced the offensive weapons around them this year. You got Debo Samuel. You bring in Laramie Tunsil. You got some running back situation. You got a little holdout here with Terry McLaurin. You got to figure that out before the start of the year. And they just traded Brian Robinson because they really think they got a couple running backs in the mix here. But a lot of fortification on the offensive side of the ball. That defense is still not great. They're going to be in a lot of high scoring games this year. Do you anticipate any sophomore slump out of Daniels, or does he just keep elevating?
McLaren, that whole situation scares me because that's a distraction in itself. He hasn't had the time, and I get to people go, well, preseason's pointless, training camp is pointless, but you do have to get those reps in. So already you're starting out on a bad foot because the offseason was all about what? Putting more weapons around Daniels as hopefully he doesn't go in that sophomore slump. And Debo Samuel, which we know can be a number one wide receiver in the league when he can stay healthy. So to answer your question, I could see a sophomore slump because of this McLaren situation with the wide receiver. The defense isn't great, although they added Von Miller.
Eh,
How old is he
eh.
yet? How old is he? Can he
End of
still
the
be
road end of the
productive?
road for me, man.
Right. I think so too. So to me, I could definitely see a sophomore slump because what do we know, Jason Powers, about this? The fact of the matter is, defensive coordinators, they pick up on offensive players' tendencies. Washington is not going to sneak up on anybody like they did last year. This kid is not going to sneak up on anybody. So I could definitely see a sophomore slump.
And remember, for Washington last year, they won 6 or 7 games in the last possession. Miracle Hail Mary. They won some dramatic. I mean, the percentages say you're not going to win all those games this year.
Yeah.
If you instead of going 7-1, if you go 4-3, that's three less. I mean, 4-4 on those games. That's three less games you win. So they're due to come back to the mean there in Washington. I would not be surprised if they still are going to be a good team, but I don't think their record's going to be, they're not going to be a 12-5 kind of team, I don't think. But, we'll see. Let's
We'll
go to
see.
Dallas.
Yes.
Schottenheimer, Brian Schottenheimer takes over from McCarthy. I actually think it's going to be a decent hire for them. I know everybody thinks Schottenheimer is going to be a clown. I actually think it's going to be a decent hire. Their defense is not great. With you got the Micah Parsons situation still looming with Jerry Jones and Parsons. I think the offense is going to be pretty good. I think Schottenheimer with his pedigree with his dad. Again, you can make whatever comments you want to make. He's never been a head coach. I get it. But I think Schottenheimer is going to be actually a pretty decent head coach for them, working with Jerry Jones. He knows that building, that kind of operational process that goes on there in Dallas, which is obviously a little odd. Give me a thought about the Cowboys.
I don't know what to think about the Cowboys because they do have potential, right? I mean, Dak Prescott, one of the highly paid quarterbacks in the National Football League, CD Lamb, you got weapons. You pick up George Pickens. So on
Yep.
paper, they look okay, right? Schottenheimer wasn't a big fan of the hire. But if he starts to struggle, does Jerry Jones get involved? Does he start to push the panic button? And then Micah Parsons holding out at this point, another distraction. So to tell you the truth, I don't know what to think about the Cowboys. They may get off to a great start and then do what they always do, which is choke in December and January when it comes to postseason football.
No doubt. I think that Micah, I mean, again, Jerry loves the drama of these contract situations with Dak, CD Lamb, now Micah.
Stupid.
He loves that. And again, that's not always good for
It's
that's not
stupid.
good for the on-field business.
Yes, it's stupid. It's really stupid. It's like, social media sometimes very stupid. It's stupid on his part because again, it becomes a distraction. And then on top of it, you sign that big time contract. The pressure is there, but you didn't get the reps. I
Right.
get it. Parsons can be one of the top defensive players in the league when he wants to be, when he's not distracted by social media, podcasts, and all the other stuff. And then you're talking about a player who didn't necessarily get the reps. So I have some big time questions about this division overall. I mean, it's a tough division, but there are a lot of distractions going on, especially with the Cowboys, as always.
And then you go to Philadelphia, the defending Super Bowl champions. Most everybody's back. You got the questions about is Jalen Hurts elite? He won the Super Bowl. Doesn't have to throw the ball a lot. You had the historic year of Saquon Barkley. Give me a thought here. Again, I don't think Philadelphia's going to be as good dominant as they were last year. But again, still got a really good offensive line. You still got Barkley. You got Brown and Smith. You got Goddard at tight end. Can the defense, again, Vic Fangio came in and did a really good job. Do you see a fall off here? Or do you think Philadelphia's the class of the division?
Now I think they're the class of the division until somebody beats them at the end of the day. I like the Philadelphia Eagles to once again win this division. They had some losses during the offseason, as most Super Bowl teams do, but you still have the coaching intact. You still have Jalen Hurts. You still have Saquon Barkley. Let's face it, is he going to repeat that 2,000-yard performance? Most likely not, but he is still
Right.
a weapon, and they have the weapons on the outside, as you mentioned, with Brown and Smith
Devontae.
and
Yep.
yeah, Devontae Smith and Goddard. So they are definitely in the class of the NFC East, in my opinion.
I'm with you. I think Philadelphia wins the division. I do think Dallas will be more competitive than people think. I think them and Washington will fight for the 2 and 3 spot. Both
Yeah.
potentially could be wild card teams. I think the Giants will be improved and they'll be a pain in the neck to some people, but I don't think record wise it will be more than probably 6, maybe 7 wins up in New York. So
I
I
think
think
it
we
has to be.
yeah, you and I both think in that schedule for the Giants is ruthless. So, all right,
Right.
let's go to the division that a lot of people think might be the most competitive division in the entire NFL, that NFC North. Green Bay, Chicago, Minnesota, Detroit. Let's start in Green Bay. Made the playoffs last year, losing the wild card round.
Mm.
Jordan Love up and down. We're wondering, is he? He signed the huge extension last year. Give me a thought about Green Bay. Do you think Love is the answer? Do you think Love's still a work in progress? Where do you think Green Bay is?
I think it's undecided with Love. I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure about him. Again, gets hurt last year, does show some flashes of brilliance, but I haven't seen enough, so I can't decide. But I definitely do think he's good. I don't think he's great. I'm not sure. I'm not ready to crown him the franchise quarterback like Green Bay is. So to answer your question, I'm undecided on this.
And again, for me, Green Bay, I think they need to have some weapons step up. They've had a podge of receivers, but they don't have a number one guy. They don't have a guy who you can say we got to double team that guy when it's 3rd and 8 or late in the game. So I think that's where they got to get improvement is in the wide receiving core. Good running back in Josh Jacobs. Offensive line's pretty good. Defense is good. I mean, is adequate. So that's a good thing.
Adequate.
But can Jordan Love elevate this offense to a championship level? Will be the question coming out of Green Bay.
And I think it goes back to what you said, right? The weapons. Do they have a number one wide receiver there? There was rumors that they were going after some wide receivers in free agency and didn't necessarily get them. So did they have enough at the end of the day? And I get it. Love is a quarterback. Sometimes a quarterback has to make the best out of his weapons and make them better. But you also have to have a number one wide receiver. And you look at a lot of teams around the league that have young quarterbacks. We've seen this with Josh Allen a couple of years ago with Buffalo getting Stephon Diggs. We've seen this with C.J. Stroud. We've seen it with plenty of quarterbacks get that number one weapon. Do the Green Bay Packers have that number one weapon? I'm not sure about that. So I think with that, it's going to be tough for Love to really be successful.
Let's go to Chicago. Caleb Williams, year 2. Again, you had a lot of drama last year with Eberflus and an interim coach for part of the year and all that stuff. You finally get the guy that you think's the guy, the offensive genius, Ben Johnson from Detroit. You bring in a bunch of offensive linemen, which they desperately needed. You got pretty good weapons on the outside with the Dunze, DJ Moore, Swift. You draft a big time tight end out of Michigan, who's already shown flashes in the preseason. Can Ben Johnson get Caleb Williams to play structured football and not play sandlot football? That's the end. That's the biggest question for me is can he get him to play in rhythm like he got Jared Goff to play?
I think he can. And I think that's what the Bears are banking on, right? And I'm kind of buying the Bears. Maybe it's because I got a co-host who does the sports web with me, a big time Bears fan, Harry the Greek there. But you look at Williams' numbers all the times he was hit and sacked. They improved the offensive line. You get an offensive coordinator coach now who improved Jared Goff. And then you have the weapons on the outside. I like what the Bears have done. And I think to nobody's surprise, I think, or to anybody's surprise, I think the Bears are going to definitely be improved. And who knows? Maybe they challenge for this NFC North. I agree with you, though, the sandlot football. I think a lot of that was because the offensive line was not good. Now, that's been thrown out the door, in my opinion, because you improve the offensive line, you put the pieces around Williams. There should be no excuse at the end of the day. And could we see a total team turnaround because of the play caller that Johnson is and because of what he's been able to do with a quarterback like a Golf? Can he do the same thing with Williams? I think it remains to be seen, but I'm buying this. I'm definitely buying the Chicago Bears in this division.
Because the defense has been pretty good the last several years. They bring in Dennis
Yeah.
Allen to run the defense, who's a
Yeah.
pretty good defensive mind. They've got good players, but you got to get the consistency on offense. And I think the weapons are there. You just got to find the play caller and the quarterback to pull the trigger. And I think I'm with you. I think the Bears have an opportunity to make one of the biggest jumps in the league from 5 wins, I think, last year to potentially 9, 10, maybe even 11 wins, even though this is a really, really tough division. This is a team to keep it on. They should be in the mix for a wild card spot as we get into later in the year. Let's go up to
Completely
Minnesota.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go up to Minnesota. The big change this year, they obviously they've given the keys to J.J. McCarthy. No more, obviously Kirk Cousins is gone. They let Sam Darnold go in free agency out to Seattle. Could have signed him back. McCarthy is their guy. Justin Jefferson, Addison's going to be suspended for a couple games to start the year. Defensively, they've lost some pieces. Where do you see this Minnesota team year 1 of J.J. McCarthy era, really of the real J.J. McCarthy era?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that either. The J.J. McCarthy era, I don't know if he's going to be a quarterback, if it translates. You look at the wide receivers that they've had on this team at this point, maybe one of the best, if not the best in the National Football League there. But already on the other side, they have some major injuries. So I have main questions about McCarthy. Can he do it? Do they have enough around him for him to do it? We know that the coach has gotten the most out of the quarterbacks that have played in this system. So I think Minnesota takes a step back with McCarthy. I
I'm
do.
with you. I think this year could be kind of a growing year for McCarthy and a learning curve kind of year where I could see a 7-10 kind of year out of Minnesota. They'll be competitive and they'll win a couple games that they maybe shouldn't win or whatever.
Yeah.
Brian Flores, good defensive coordinator there, but they don't have an elite running back. That Jordan Addison suspended. If Jefferson were to go down, they would have some major problems. And again, you got some good weapons on offense, but can the quarterback be the guy that elevates? And make those second reaction plays when the play breaks down. We've not seen that. So until we see it, I think it's definitely a big question mark there in Minneapolis.
I think you got to give the quarterback credit, right? What he did at Michigan, he was a caretaker. Harbaugh knew that.
Yep.
That's you got to put a running game around him, and you mentioned it. Do you have the running game there? Do you have an elite running back? You only got one wide receiver, so if you double up on him, who's stepping up? But did they sign Adam Thielen? Did they re-sign
They
him
haven't though.
back?
They're talking about trading for Thielen. I know he's on the
Okay.
market to be traded potentially. That hasn't happened as of this recording, but he's definitely a target on their radar. Hawkinson's a good tight end, but again,
Yeah,
is the offensive line good enough, and is the running back situation to make it balanced so McCarthy doesn't have to throw it 35 times a game?
agree.
Let's go to Detroit, defending division champions. They get throttled in that divisional round at home against Washington. Everybody thought they were going to beat them, and that this was 2024 was going to be their year. They get their defense just they ran out of bodies. Not that their defense was ever good to begin with, but they lost a bunch of guys to injuries. You now lose both coordinators. Is that going to be an issue for you going into this year? Two brand new coordinators, or is it continue as they've been going?
Didn't Philadelphia lose both of their coordinators last year,
Yeah.
and they won the Super Bowl, right?
I guess. Yep.
I don't know. I maybe that's leading to something.
Yep.
They're well coached. They have the talent. The injuries last year, especially defensively, really hurt them. You could see that in the Washington game. I'm curious to see because they're very talented on offense. What's the impact to Jared Goff? What's the impact on him not having Ben Johnson anymore? I still think they're in the thick of it. I still think they can compete for the NFC North, and most likely they're going to win the NFC North, if not for Chicago.
I worry about the defense. I think Aaron Glenn leaving, you
Mhm.
promote the linebacker coach who's a pretty young guy. I worry about that defense. I know Aiden Hutchinson will be back. I know that was a major blow to them, was losing him, but I worry about that back seven. The linebackers and secondary core. To me, that'd be something I would worry about if I was a Detroit Lions fan. I think the offense will be fine. They may not be as high flying as they were, but I think they're going to be plenty good. They got plenty of weapons with Williams and St. Brown, and the running back core they got, and the offensive line's really good. I worry about the defense there, and I also worry about Dan Campbell in the moment of truth. Is he going to be too reckless with going forward on fourth down all too much?
Makes sense because a couple of years removed from you should have won that NFC Championship game. You should have been in the Super Bowl, and you weren't because of the chances that you took. And then last year you regressed, and then you lost both coordinators. But it's eerily similar
Yep.
to the Philadelphia
Good point.
Eagles, is it not?
Good point.
Is it not? So we'll see.
There you go. Who wins this division? You got Detroit. I think it's going down to the wire. Chicago, Detroit, Green Bay are all going to be in the mix the last 2 weeks of the year, I think.
I think Chicago could win this division. I really do. And then I say could, and then I don't want to rule out Detroit and Green Bay.
I
But you
and
know
I
what?
think
Yeah.
I think these division games are going to be brutal. Meaning there's going to be. It wouldn't surprise me if everybody in that division goes 3-3 because I think teams are going to beat each other up in that division. The teams are pretty competitive. I think 10-7 wins this division.
Give me the Chicago Bears. It's
All
as
right,
crazy as it
that a
sounds.
boy.
I'm going to take the Chicago Bears with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson turning this team around in his first year. I'm buying the hype. I'm going to buy it. I love the Colston Loveland pick from Michigan. I definitely think he works in this offense. He's reminds me of Sam Laporte, right?
Yep.
For the Detroit Lions. That's who it reminds me of. I think it works. I like the Bears in this division.
There you go. I like that. Along with Jason Powers, we're along with Peter Blake, host of the Sports Web. Peter, promote your show for us. Tell us when it's on, where they can find everybody and all the great info that you do throughout the football year and year round.
Yeah, Monday and Wednesday nights at 8 o'clock. We changed the time from 9 to 8, and then of course before and after Bucks games. At the What the Buck tailgates here locally, and then after the game with the great JP Peterson in collaboration with that show live at Raymond James Stadium after the game, usually about 30 to 35 minutes because I had to set up all my equipment. And if you want
Where do
to,
they find you on the show? Like if they're not in the Tampa Bay area, where do they
yeah,
find the show at?
well, friend me on Facebook at Peter H. Blake or like and subscribe to the Sports Web on YouTube.
He's our guy, the Rolex reporter. Got the Rolex from my
Yes.
boy, from the Paul crew back in the day. So Peter does a great. Seriously, Peter does a great job covering the
Thank you.
football scene, covering the sports scene. He talks wrestling. He talks whatever's going on. He's got a lot
Yeah.
of contacts in that world. So lots of good stuff going on with the big. What do you think of the big move of WWE and ESPN teaming up again?
I'm hoping it works out because I don't necessarily think WWE and Netflix has worked out. I don't think it's gone back to the Attitude Era like I thought it would. I'm excited about it. I think ESPN, enjoying ESPN, it's a step in the right direction. They also acquired NFL Red Zone and NFL
Right.
Network, so they're trying to be the king of sports. And I just hope that wrestling content continues to get bigger and bigger. I like it. I like the move, and they're revealing a pay-per-view at September 20th with John Cena. They're leaving here eventually for going out to retirement. So I'm curious to see what the match is going to look like from John Cena and Brock Lesnar, and what else they got in store. I think it's going to be Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. So anytime like a conglomerate, Leo Word and ESPN can acquire the rights of WWE, I love it. I think it's absolutely great for the wrestling business all around.
There you go. There you go. Let's go to the NFC West. Seattle, San Francisco, Rams, Arizona. The Rams win the division last year, make the playoffs. They
Yeah.
gave Philly everything they wanted in that divisional game. Remember that snow game? That the last they had the ball inside the 30-yard line to win the game, and but didn't. Philadelphia held. But again, wide open division. You got San Francisco down after lose. They've lost a ton. Debo gone, linemen gone, defensive guys gone. They do bring back Robert Saleh, the former coordinator, who was the Jets coach that got let go. You got Brock Purdy finally got his extension. Brandon Ayuk. A lot of injuries on defense. Give me a quick thought on the 49ers.
I think the 49ers have seen their best days. I think that window is closed, not only for postseason, but also most likely a Super Bowl. And, this is the reason why when you have a quarterback under a contract that you have to most likely build around them, now you sign him, that's going to limit your opportunities. And you're exactly right. Not only offensively, trading Debo Samuel, Ayuk, I believe, what is he coming
Hurt,
back
still
from
recovering.
injury,
He's not
still
back for a
hurt?
while.
No, I mean, Christian McCaffrey, we know
Kittle's
eventually
older. Yep.
he'll get hurt. I don't buy this. I don't buy this team at all defensively. They've had injuries. They've been ravaged. I just don't know if they have enough talent. I could see them third or last in this division. And I love
Wow.
John Lynch and what he's done, but I think you're going to have a conversation here with Kyle Shanahan. Is he the coach? Everybody talks about his offensive play calling and acumen, but when it came down to it at those crucial moments for this team last year and the last couple years, he hasn't been able to get it done. So maybe he's on the hot seat. I think this team is in big time trouble this year, Jason Powers.
All right, let's go to Seattle. Year two, Mike McDonald. They bring in Sam Darnold to replace Geno Smith. I don't love that move. Again, I think it's the middling team, building team. But again, give me a quick thought on Seattle.
Could be a surprise. Sam Darnold, I got to see more than 1 year. We got
Yeah.
to see more than that. I think that's the big time question mark. Did you get better? They think they did from Geno Smith. So we'll see. They could be a middling team. They could also be a surprise team in that division. Maybe they sneak in and go second. So I would say I'm not necessarily buying Sam Darnold yet until he shows me more than 1 year consistently. Is that fair?
That is fair. That's very fair. Rams, McVay, the big injury. The question is what's the deal with Matthew Stafford's back? To me,
Mm.
that's the whole kit and caboodle with this team. If he plays, I think they're going to be good enough to make the playoffs. But if he misses 6, 7 games because of a back issue, and you got to go to Stetson Bennett or Jimmy Garoppolo, I think you're in big trouble. So I think Matthew Stafford is the absolute key to this team, and it's the health of his back.
I agree. And a back injury, listen, I have back injuries. I know a lot of people have back
Yeah,
injuries. Those are lingering things,
they don't just
okay?
go
And
away, brother.
no, they don't. And I'm not an athlete. So I'm not going to act
Yep.
like I am an athlete, but I just can imagine, the rigors of what he puts his body through and the kind of hits he's taken throughout the years. So that's going to be a tough situation. If he's able to play, I think they win the division. If not, I agree with you. I see them taking a step back because Jimmy Garoppolo, he's decent backup, and then Stetson
Yep.
Bennett, major question. They do have the weapons there. Their defense was
Pretty
improved.
good.
They're pretty good. And they gave Philadelphia everything they could handle. But I think the big time question is Stafford and his health.
Let's go to the Arizona Cardinals. To me, this is the sleeper team in this
Mm,
division. I think this
yes.
team is building. They've been gotten better and better the last couple of years under Gannon. Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison. You got some defensive people, some pieces. This is the team that I think could, like the Bears, could make the biggest jump in the NFC. Go.
I agree with you. They're reminiscent. Young coach, they're playing for him, defensive minded. Kind of reminds you of Bucks fans, maybe Tony Dungy getting the most. I don't know if they get that type of leap, but maybe that happens. I like what Arizona's doing. It comes down to Kyler Murray. Can he get more consistent? Can he be more consistent? It always comes down to the quarterback at the end of the day. But I like Arizona to either be a second team or a sneaky team to win the NFC West.
All right, let's go to the last division, NFC South. We're going to make this quick because I think you and I both think the Bucks are the class of this division.
Yes.
Bucks, Carolina, New Orleans, Atlanta. We're not even going to talk about New Orleans. They're in a full rebuild. This is going to be they're vying for the number one pick in the draft next year. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Kellen Moore, new coach. They're bringing in a new quarterback. Will they Tyler Shuck, who they drafted? I think this is a full rebuild. I think you're going to see Alvin Kamara get traded before the trade deadline, so I think he won't be there much longer. I could see Chris Olave getting traded. Let's don't talk much about New Orleans. I think full rebuild, definitely contention for the number one pick in the draft. Let's go to Carolina, year two, Dave Canales. Showed some improvements the second half of the year. Bryce Young and company. Give me a quick thought on Carolina.
Bryce Young, it comes down to him. Can he continue off with what he did last year in the second half of the year? Can this team continue that momentum for Canales?
I'm with you. I think if Bryce Young, I don't think they're going to be vying for the division, but I think they could be a pain in the neck to some teams in the NFC. Again, I could see them being a 7, 6, 7, 8, maybe 8 win team, but still think they're another year away of drafting and free agency, especially on defense. Atlanta, biggest wild card maybe in the conference with the Michael Penix move here. He's the starter. Kirk Cousins is not. A lot of pressure on Raheem Morris. If he doesn't have a good year, I could see Atlanta making a change if they flounder. A lot of people think Penix is the answer, but give me a quick thought: Raheem Morris and the Falcons.
Well, missing both tackles is not a good
Yep.
start. So that's not going to help your quarterback out. And then you also lose Grady Jarrett in the middle of that defense. So I don't know how improved they are. Of course, they do have the weapons in Drake London and, of course, Bijan Robinson and Penix, who's, like you said, the ultimate wild card.
Buccaneers. I think we both think this is the team to beat in this division. Stay healthy. Again, Wirfs is hurt. Godwin's hurt. If you get your health, I think they're going to win this division. But again, they got a tough schedule, but you got to stay healthy. You got some older guys, Evans, Godwin, but you do have some young guys coming. Ibuka's going to be a good player. If the defense can just be good, doesn't have to be great, stay healthy and be good, I think the Bucks are a serious threat to win the NFC.
2 words, Hassan Reddick. He's done it. He's done it before. 59 sacks. He takes the pressure off of everybody out there. He'll draw those double teams, which opens up Yaya Diaby and, of course, Elijah Canson. And offensively, the first 4 games will tell the story of the season. You're going to be without Tristan Wirfs for the first 2, most likely. So Tristan Wirfs coming back in that third or fourth game. Can they sustain? Can Heck do a great job of protecting Baker's blind side? I think Ibuka makes that type of impact that we saw another rookie make before, and that would be Mr. Mike
And
Evans.
they got a tough opening stretch, 2 on the road at Atlanta, at Houston. If you can split those, you'll be in great shape. At worst, you just don't want to go 0-2 there. But if you split those, I think you're going to be in great shape with Wirfs coming back. You got Ibuka. You're going to have Godwin at some point. They got plenty of offense. Can the play caller, Josh Grizzard, be the difference maker?
Be better than he was. They'll be better offensively than they were last year.
All right, Peter Blake, great job, man. Check out the Sports Web. Anytime Peter Blake on Facebook, check him out. Does a great job here all over throughout the football season. You will find him. You will find me helping him. I'll be part of his show a little bit. He's part of mine. Thanks for the time, Peter Blake. Great job with the NFC. Enjoy the football season. Don't eat too many plates of ice cream and cookies and all that good stuff in the press box, man. I know you like those multiple plates. Have a great day. We'll see you next time. Powers on Sports Podcast.